Hello survivors and welcome to another video. In this video we're going to be taking a first look at the season 4 character leaks for leagues. So first up we have Charlie. He has 2,225 attack, 1,411 defense and 1,790 HP. He is a fast traded character and his role is damage, which is massively reflected in that attack stat. That's a huge stat there, so that's absolutely amazing. Looking at his rush, it's called Gushing Slices. It is a 76 AP cost, which is great. Deals 425% damage and 375 bleed damage for 3 turns to a line of enemies. This character gets 35% defense and focus for 3 turns. So obviously we'll look at the first part of that rush. That's a pretty decent amount of damage output for a line of enemies. It is actually identical to Sean in terms of the individual target damage that he's going to put out. However, there will be a 3-turn bleed on there as well. So if you have a lacerator character, that's going to be huge for a lacerator. They're going to be able to double that the first turn, double that the second turn, and I don't think anyone's really going to be alive at that point. The second part of the rush with this character getting 35% defense, that's just a little bonus. He will mainly be utilized on an attack team based just solely on this rush, and there aren't too many characters that give out defense buffs on a lot of attack teams. The majority of buffs is more offensive, so this is a nice little boost. The focus, however, is really nice, especially when utilized with other parts of his kit, which we'll get into in a bit. So now let's look at his active skill, and it's called Heal Reduction and AP Gain. It has an initial cooldown of 3 turns, but this is a weird one because it also debuffs himself, which is kind of strange. 100% heal reduction for 3 turns to this character, as in Charlie, and a line of enemies. This character gains 35% AP. So let's break that down again. 100% heal reduction for 3 turns to Charlie, so he won't be able to get healed for the next 3 turns. However, you could effectively take someone who could cleanse that and remove that afterwards. That's viable. But he also does heal reduction for 3 turns to a line of enemies, which is, you know, a limited time decapitate. 100% heal reduction is a limited time to decapitate. So that's really nice. There is obviously quite a massive downside to that with the self heal reduction, but a lot of people when they run attack teams don't run healers, so it doesn't really make much difference. So it might not make much difference to you if you don't run any healers on your attack teams. Now the second part of this active says this character gains 35% AP. On an attack team, that isn't that great if I'm honest. He will only gain around 26 or 27 AP from that, and he needs 50 more to get his rush. So obviously the most you can get on an attack team with an AP on attack leader and an AP on attack weapon is 40. So it will actually make him lose a turn compared to attacking. But an option with Charlie is to maybe use his active skill when he's either very close to getting his rush or has his rush already, then command him to annihilate a line of enemies that he's just done heal reduction to, causing limited time decapitate to those characters. So we'll take a look at his specialist skill, and it is a brand new specialist skill being first released within free to play, which is great. I do think that releasing specialist skills first within free to play and then releasing promos is a much better path in terms of balance. It is also better in terms of promoting a specialist skill so people can see how strong it is, and then if you release a promo who's obviously strong with their rush but has that strong specialist skill that everyone knows how it works, it could probably lure a lot more people into wanting to get that character. So the specialist skill is called Manic, and it says every turn if this character is at or below 75% HP, this character gains 50% AP at the start of their turn. So obviously 50% of his AP would be 38. If he has AP on attack on his weapon and a huge leader, it would only take 1 turn to get his rush. So he could either be commanded that turn or the next turn he'd have his rush. So he could potentially be rushing every other turn if his HP was below 75% consistently. Now he has got an attached weapon, and I believe he may be the first free-to-play non-legacy character to have an attached weapon, which is again really awesome. It is 30% attack, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, and a 100% chance to taunt for 1 turn when your HP is more than 75%. So that means on an attack team, he can taunt first turn. So shields will become a bit useless. We'll start seeing shields having to use taunt resist now to be able to have any chance of shielding turn 2. This is massively countering shields, and that's really, really awesome to come into free to play. Now, in terms of where you want to go with that weapon, I'd probably say put a huge bonus to AP on attack and raise that attack to 40% would be a good idea. Just so your damage output obviously is as high as possible, you definitely want to have a huge bonus to AP on attack, just so that if he does get that 50% bonus from Manic, that he obviously will get his rush every other turn that way. I would probably say, just on face value, just looking at the card, Charlie's one of the best free-to-play characters to ever be released. Especially, he's one of the best free-to-play characters that have ever been released within leagues. He's a great counter to shields, and if you've got the season tokens, no matter what you think of this character, he will make a massive difference to your attack team in terms of that early control. For me, I'd say this guy is almost an instant purchase. He only costs 15,000 tokens as well. He's the cheaper of the two characters. So if you have enough, I would just buy him instantly, and then this is the guy that you use your gear on. Even if you've bought Sean or Nick, I think this character is going to make a much bigger difference to your attack teams, especially if you're mainly free to play. So the second character is called Regina, and I think I've been told that she is Douglas's wife. I'm not 100% certain here, but she could be Douglas's wife. She has got 1,663 attack, 1,771 defense, and 1,932 HP. She is a tough traded damage dealer, and if we look at her adrenaline rush, it's called Calamitous Barrage, and it's a 76 AP cost again, which again is great. This one's a bit weird maybe, but deals 1,600 main damage to up to 2 enemies. Now, with that damage dealer roll and the 1,600 main damage, it's a bit of a strange combination overall, but if you do have a rush that only deals main damage, having lower attack stat actually is better for you. She's got more tankier stats in terms of defense and HP this way, and potentially could be used on a defense team just based on the fact that she's got a rush like this and has got more defensive stats. Looking at her active skill, it is called AP gain, and it says up to 2 teammates gain 35% AP. I'm not a big fan of this, if I'm honest. I don't like the 35% AP gain. If it was 50%, that would be quite good. Obviously, that would be almost like them doing a basic attack. But with 35%, it's just going to take certain characters over. Maybe those really high AP cost characters that are like 85s. Your Lydias, your Tyreses, your Season 3 Shawns, for instance. Now, she has got a really premium specialist skill, and it is a Decapitate. But the combination of Maim and Decapitate, I'm not 100% sure how that's going to go off. In terms of the damage output that I put out with, say, a Tyrese is like 3 to 4 to 5,000 damage. The 1,600 guaranteed is nice, but it doesn't scale at all. So you're going to have already whittled someone down for this to actually do anything. So this is like the weakest Decapitate that we could probably have been given. The only bonus with this character is if someone has 1,600 HP or less, you 100% know you are going to decapitate them. Sometimes you can run into issues where you're not sure if you can decapitate someone, and basically you can just miss out on a decapitate. That's not going to be a problem ever with Regina. Now, she hasn't got an attached weapon, so you can basically go where you want with her weapon. You could make her quite defensive and rely purely on that main damage, or you could make her really offensive and try and get that attack stat as high as possible, just so her basic attacks start doing quite a lot of damage. Remember that tough characters can use double attack weapons, so her damage output can actually be pretty good with a double attack weapon. And because she's got good defensive stats already, she could potentially have attack and crit in her combat mods, and then her damage output would be quite massive with those double attacks. She is, however, the most expensive character in the season store, being 25,000 season tokens. But I'd still say she's probably worth picking up just based on the fact she's got that specialist ability that pretty much everyone wants. The downside to this character, though, in my opinion, is that she's not a fast or an alert character. We have got a bit more access to a tough Decapitate already and a strong Decapitate. The limited access characters are within alert and fast, We did obviously have Road Warrior event where Sandy was put up, but you kind of did need to drop money to get her. Majority of people at least had to drop money to get her. Unless you dropped hundreds of cans, you just didn't get your hands on that character. So those are the leaks for season 4. Those are the unique characters. There are other characters available in this season's store as well, and these are the 4 characters. I will go over this a bit more in a future video, but it is going to be Neutralize Fast Cal as the returning Ascendable, who is a brand new character for a majority of people. And unlike last season's Garrett, I think this character actually is pretty decent and can be used in certain defense teams and maybe even certain attack teams. We also have Sassy Zeke, who is normally available only in the depot, and he is quite expensive, obviously 55,000 depot points, and he does complete collections for a few people, so that's pretty good. Earl Sutton, I'm not a massive fan of this character if I'm honest. He does debuff himself, kind of like the Charlie character we saw before. And lastly, it's Caroline. It's really strange, some of the character choices in here, because I think most people would massively dodge Caroline. But hey, that's the way it goes. So that's the end of my video, guys. Do tell me what you think about Charlie and Regina. Which character are you going to be picking up first? Which character do you think is the best? That's the end of my video, though. Thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.